I think people don't understand a part of marketing is your brand. What is your core values and what do you stand for? What can you prove you're known for? Most companies I've invested in, most companies that I've coached, I find most of their opportunity in their call center where their leads are coming into. Marketing needs to go through all the way through to where I collect the cash. I think to be the cheapest is a race to the bottom. They don't care that, hey, Tommy sits down with them and he wants to make more money to the bottom line and you're going to be on a performance improvement plan. No one cares about that. They care about what about me? What about my family? So you talk about what's in it for them again. I do believe that if you help people, it comes back tenfold. I think Zig Ziglar said you could have anything you want in life if you help enough people get what they want.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Duct Tape Marketing Podcast. This is John Jantz. My guest today is Tommy Mello. He's a driven entrepreneur who's built a $220 million home services business with over 700 employees across 20 states. He's also the founder of Home Service Expert, where he's dedicated to helping fellow entrepreneurs achieve the same level of success. He's also the host of a popular Home Service Expert podcast and the author of Elevate, Build a Business Where Everybody Wins. So, Tommy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Really excited to be here.
I got looking back, I think this is at least your second appearance on the show, and I got looking back, and the last time you were on the show, it was 2020. We were in the throes of, or maybe just starting to come out of the pandemic, and the home services business was, really kind of crazy at that point. A lot of folks were in turmoil. A lot of folks were really having trouble finding skilled labor. Fast forward to 2024, what's the state of the industry today?
Never been better. We were deemed essential during COVID. And the fact is there's always this teeter-totter. You need more leads or you need more great people.
Right.
I learned in 2017 how to build my own technicians. So right now we graduate from my training school right next door, about 50 technicians a month. But it's kind of, I view recruiting like marketing. You got to really define who your avatar is and make sure it's the right person. Because if you're not converting leads, getting the right reviews, getting the right opportunity job averages, people are always like, I need more leads. And I'm like, well, you must be booking every phone call. You must be converting every booked call to a paid customer. And they're like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, your marketing dollars are going to waste because your call center's not working out very well. Your technicians are not converting very well. You don't have a rehash program. So the most important thing is you got the right people showing up to the right leads. And you should be ranking your leads and ranking the people showing up to the leads.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I think a lot of business owners, doesn't matter what industry, kind of think of hiring as an event. Oh, I need people. I'll go out and hire some people. I'll run some ads. I'll hire some people. And the way you're talking about it is more like we would think of traditional marketing. You've got to know who that ideal customer is. You've got to have the right message. You've got to constantly build pipeline, to get those folks. And I think if a lot of businesses treated recruitment that way, they'd find a lot more success rather than just always firefighting.
I can tell you this. What if I told you, I want you to, the old Pareto 80-20 rule.
Right.
What I'd love people to do is look at their top 20% and say, what if they were able to multiply that by 5? So what that means is they take the top 20% of their working staff and either you got to train them up or out to get into that 20 percentile. And unfortunately, when you're a small business, like I was for a decade, longer than that, actually, I didn't know what good was. And you know what I used to tell people, John? I used to tell people, if you got a garage, you're my client. And I've quickly, over the last, I'd say 7 years, realized that not everybody with a garage door is my client. The people that are price shopping, you could only have 3 things. My dad taught me this. You could have the cheapest, the best quality, or on your timeline.
Yeah.
You can never give all 3. It's impossible to give all 3. So I decided a decade ago, I'm not going to be the cheapest. I'm going to get out there today when they need me the most, and I'm going to do a quality job with a drug-tested background, trustworthy person that can be alone with your wife and kids. And that's what we've done. And I think to be the cheapest is a race to the bottom.
Yeah. You got to throw all that other stuff out, right? So you talk about in your writing and when we talked before, about kind of struggling a little bit before you kind of turned the corner and figured out how to really scale. Were there any kind of pivotal moments or pivotal things that really made you, you feel like, kind of made the light bulb come on and really lead to success?
Yeah, this right here, I know not everybody's watching, but the way my trucks were branded, this was my original truck. It was just a white truck with stenciling on it. Then I got a better wrap that was pretty good. And then I got this one that's absolutely phenomenal. And the brand new wrap I got, and this had to be about 5 years ago. It was done by Dan Antonelli from Kick Charge. And it doesn't have a lot of logos like the BBB and Yelp and Angie's List on it. It doesn't have anything. It doesn't even have a phone number on it. It's a billboard. People can only read 5 words as they're driving by.
Right.
So anybody that puts these 18 words on there and says, call now to get your appointment and this QR code, they're driving by. So once you get your brand dialed in, and now my signature on my email looks like my catalog, looks like my website, looks like my yard signs, looks like my billboards. And then I've got a jingle that's the same everywhere. So that was a big piece of it. And I think people don't understand a part of marketing is your brand. And brand is, some people take them and they differentiate them a little bit, but I think it starts with your brand. And what is your core values and what do you stand for? And what can you prove you're known for? Like, you can't say I'm the best. You can say out of the last 1,000 jobs, 998 started on time and 2 of them got rectified within 48 hours. And those are facts. And your KPI should be driven towards the consumer. Obviously, your financial department's going to have KPIs like what's your conversion rate and average ticket and what's, balance sheet, income statement, and a lot of great data about what's good for us. But we need to start thinking about what's good for our clients. The biggest thing I've learned is most companies I've invested in, most companies that I've coached, I find most of their opportunity in their call center where their leads are coming into. My mom used to answer phones for me, John, and sometimes I felt like she was having phone sex. She's never, I don't think, had phone sex, but she'd be like, "Oh my God, honey, I am so sorry." It was like crazy. She'd be like apologizing and empathy and just, "Honey, we're going to get this fixed. I'm going to send out my best technician." This is like 15 years ago. And I'd show up to these houses, John, and the people would give me a hug and they'd be like, "This is the best company I've ever talked to." Like, whoever that lady was, she would never say she's my mother, but she'd brag about me. She'd say, "I'm going to send out our best technician. This guy, he's a handsome devil." But she'd never say she's my mom. I'd show up and there was putty in my hands. Like, the client would say, "Whatever you guys say to do, we're going to do it." We've never heard of anybody take a call like that. And so I think the contact center, there's a lot of opportunities. And that's operational, right? But marketing needs to go through all the way through to where I collect the cash. And even after I get the review and when we do business again in the future. And I think people miss that.
I listen to you talk about, obviously your mom was very invested in the success of the business, in your success personally. How do you get employees to feel like I'm an essential part? A lot of times people answering the phone, they're like, "I'm just putting in my time. I don't get to see that profit necessarily." All the things people can delude themselves with. So how do you get people, everybody bought in it? Because I know that's been a big part of what you've really preached in terms of really building a company culture.
There's this simple phrase called "what's in it for them." And I'm not into tenure. I'm not into hourly pay. I'm into performance pay. And if you set the guidelines and it's fair and it's distinguishable, meaning that it's not based on somebody's opinion, performance pay, what'll happen, and I want to be very careful here for your listeners, if you switch to performance pay, you'll probably lose 80% of your staff because they'd like to get paid hourly. They love to get paid, come in, do my job and be done. But when you come up with ways to say what's in it for them, how can I have them win more? And look, everybody's like, how do you even start that? Well, you just take your historical data. Like, this person's booking 62%. At first, you got to know KPIs and have data accuracy. Yeah. There's got to be some type of data compliance to make sure that it's accurate. And say, if I got them up, like right now, we'll do 300 million, right? Next year. For every percent we increase the booking rate, that's $3 million of revenue to the company. At 20%, that's an extra $600,000 to the EBITDA. And so I'm a mathematical guy, right? So I'm always doing math and coming up with formulas and saying, does this get the right behavior I'm shooting for? And if I share some of it with them, the company and, I win really big, but I allow them to feel like they're winning really big too in comparison. Because if you're making $17 an hour, I could pay people $45 an hour and still be winning. And how easy is it, do you think, for me to recruit A+ players when I can pay that much?
Right.
It's not even, it's like taking candy from a baby. It's like, why would he pay that much? Well, he's getting people that set him up for success. And that's so important. It's just smiling on the phone and empathy and really caring. And you know, I heard this from a buddy of mine. He said, if you ever go to the Four Seasons, you'll notice that they hire people that genuinely do care. Like they don't just say, hey, how are you today, sir? Nice to see you. See you later. They say, listen, is there anything I can do to make your stay better? I'll tell you this. I got to stay at Four Seasons in the past. They might tell you a story and say, it was so magical for me and my family. After that day, I knew I wanted to work here. And my goal is to make sure that this is the best experience you ever have. They'll look you in the eyes. They'll walk you to the bathroom if you ask for a question. They'll open up a restaurant that's closed and make you something themselves if they have the opportunity to do that. And that's what I think is, we talk so much about marketing, about making the phone ring. And I talk about stacking the deck on the other side by recruiting A+ people on your team.
Talk a little bit about that concept of recruiting versus creating, A+ team. Obviously, if somebody's already a proven superstar salesperson, you're going to pay for it, right? To recruit them perhaps. Whereas I know you spend a lot of time and energy actually training and teaching and creating A players. Talk a little bit about that, the difference between those two ideas.
Well, I do think there's certain things I look for. I hire for personality. So eye contact, tonality. Can you tell a great story? Do you smile a lot? When I take you and your wife or husband out to dinner, do I find that you guys get along well? Because if there's problems at home, there's more likely going to be problems when you come to work because you're trying to kind of put yourself out of a fire that you just got into at home. But what we do is we train, and we role play, and we just focus on these attributes of like believe in yourself. The first thing you need to do is believe in yourself. And that's what eye contact, tonality, smiling is believing in yourself. And I'm not Starbucks. I can't hire people to save them, to start looking through their lens differently. It's so hard to do that. It takes years. Sometimes people go into the military very unorganized, come out very, very organized, but that takes sometimes 4 to 8 years. So I try to find the right canvas. And then I try to teach these things, like the words we use. We never say, this is how much it costs. We say the investment would be this. Yeah. It is an investment. It's the number one ROI on your home. The number one investment, more than your kitchens or bathrooms, is your garage. Remodel Magazine 6 years in a row, an unbiased third party. So we teach them the words to say. We monitor this. We've got systems that record the whole conversation in the garage with the client. That's for the client's best interest, but it's also to coach. We say kneel down when you're presenting. You don't want to be above the customer because you make them feel inferior. There's a lot of things that we try to do. And when I played football, we did 2-a-days. We practiced 10 times a week, play one game. So in business, why shouldn't we do the same thing? Or should we go after you train, you're just going to go practice on the customer's house forever? And I don't know about you, but I like nice things that last. I've gone with the cheapest to fix my house. And when I did a remodel in 2012, I'll never go with the best price again because I had to redo the roof after 5 years. I'm on my third AC unit. I just want the best. I don't want to have to worry about it. And I think homeowners are smart. They're like, you know what? And what if you had a magic moment where you said, you know what I care about the most? I care that my kids could go to school and I care that my wife makes it to work on time because that's what we missed today. So you called the best option. This is to keep the kids coming to school on time and make sure your wife gets to work. And there's these magic moments and you title the estimates exactly what the client cares about. And you title it, this is the one that'll give you the best investment for moving in 5 years and making sure your garage will last. Because they say, I'm going to move in 5 years. So you say, listen, we don't need to do the Taj Mahal. Out of the 5 options, let's do number 4.
Talk a little bit about skilled labor. I mean, people aren't coming out of high school today thinking, I want to go be a carpenter or, whatever, electrician, nearly enough, I think, to meet the demand. So what have you done to really kind of shore up that you hire for, like you say, personality or fit, but they still have to be able to install something. They still have to be able to fix something. What are you doing to kind of shore up that end of it?
Well, we spend 12% of our revenue on marketing, okay? if we do 25 million, we're spending a few $1,000,000 a month in marketing.
Yeah.
So we're in Valpak. We're all over website optimization. Clipper Magazine, the newspaper, PFP deals, Angie, every lead aggregator out there. We're on TV, radio, billboards. The idea is, why not put the recruiting ad into some of these?
Sure.
And say at A1 Garage Doors, you've always known us for great service, blah, 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 blah. And we're looking for more. You want to do 2 in 1. You want to do the marketing and the recruiting in the same message. And then you want to have this massive funnel that chops. Every time it chops down to the smaller amount, it's refining. Here's what I do know. Artificial intelligence and robotics are not going to replace garage doors, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, roofing anytime soon. No one's going to come out with a robot and install windows. But I'll tell you what, this camera stuff we're working on, the drones and the different things, they're all going to be AI. AI is going to fix everything left brain AI's like handling here soon. Development, coding. Everybody said, hey, go into coding. Well, AI is going to fit. You're not going to have a job. So these blue collar things that were shit on for a long time, like, man, it was embarrassing. If you were, I'm a plumber. Now it's like you're beating your chest. You're like, I'm a plumber, baby. It's like our day. This is our time. And I think the word's getting out there. Like the average plumber is 49 years old. And now you got this amazing amount of people going, look, I don't think I was cut out to go to college and go into debt for $200,000 because I don't really know if I want to go into economics or accounting. And I don't know if what the future holds there. So I do know that, no one's going to be fixing anything on the home at least for a decade. I don't think there's robots going to be coming out and doing it for a while. So I think people are starting to understand that, and they're starting to say, I don't want to go into debt. We pay to train you. You come to work for A1, you're going to get paid a very healthy living to get trained. And then if you can't make $2,000 a week, shame on you your first year. If you can't make $3,000 a week on year 2, shame on you. We're going to give you the tools. We pay for the tools. We're going to give you a brand new van. We're going to give you training. We're going to give you role playing. We're going to make you, we're going to give you a flexible schedule. It's a really rewarding job. And I think the more we can share the stories, we've got a full-time dream manager. Their job is to help people dream. What do you want out of life? Do you want to go on that big vacation? Do you want to buy a home or a second home or a third home? What does that mean needs to happen? Well, it means these need to be your KPIs. And when I talk to you, I just say, listen, you told me you wanted to take your kids to Disney World first class. Let's skip all the lines. Do you realize if you had a little bit higher conversion rate, and I'll show you exactly what you need to do that you would make that happen this year? So you talk about what's in it for them again. Like, well, they don't care that, hey, Tommy sits down with them and he wants to make more money to the bottom line and you're going to be on a performance improvement plan. No one cares about that. They care about, like, what about me? What about my family? What about the people I care about? Like, I took a chance working for you. Why don't you teach me more? But you got to remind them. You got to remind them about their why and what it means to their life in the future. And hopefully you hire the right people that have plans. Because some people go through life and just say, I'm okay being mediocre.
Well, Tommy, we've run out of time, but I appreciate, again, you stopping by. Very inspirational, as always. I appreciate you taking a moment to stop by the Duct Tape Marketing Podcast. Is there someplace you want to invite people to find out more about? I know you've got a variety of different interests and things you're involved in, but what's the best way for people to find out more about what you're doing?
Yeah, if you just go to Tommy Mello, there's no W at the end of my name, so Tommy, MELLO.com. You can see all my social media, my books, everything's there. And if you go to TommyMello.com/shop, you can do a shop tour. I don't charge anything. If you ever find yourself in Phoenix or want to come out here, it's a great experience. It's a way to pay it forward like everybody did for me when I was coming up in the home service, home improvement space. It's a way for me to brag on the team, and it's a way for me to help you, because I do believe that if you help people, it comes back tenfold. I think Zig Ziglar said you could have anything you want in life if you help enough people get what they want. And I'm a true believer of that. I really am. So if anybody needs anything, reach out to me. I got 80 ways from Sunday to reach me. I've got a full-time team, a massive team these days that makes sure that it gets, that I'm aware of the comments and questions. So I appreciate this podcast, and I'm looking forward to having you on.
Yeah. Likewise, we're going to record back to back today. So Again, thank you for taking a few moments to share with our audience, and hopefully we'll run into you one of these days out there on the road.
Sounds great. Appreciate you.